What's up, YouTube? Gonna introduce a new project today. It's basically already done, kind of like the Studebaker was, but I'm gonna introduce this new car. So it's a 1985 Chevrolet Camaro, a very rare factory ZF. So that's basically just a dealer sticker package. You can see the sticker, faded sticker on the hood, and the stickers on the side. You'll notice the sticker package was originally applied off center, so you know they really put in the time to make this right. But the more interesting thing about this car is, well, the looks. You'll notice the factory-ish interior, and the astute among you will notice the bars. We tried to make those as hidden as possible. Factory sunroof. So what's particularly interesting is, well, what's under the hood. I think one of my favorite parts about this car is that everything that is under the hood fits underneath the stock flat hood. So let's show you guys what's under the hood. So it's a sloppy special. It's a 4.8 liter Gen 4. You'll notice we took special care to leave as much dirt on the car as possible. That's intentional. So it's a 4.8 liter. We have a 560 lift cam in it. Have no idea what the specs are other than that. We bought it secondhand, and no clue what the actual, you know, duration and that kind of stuff. Some good old great 62s, as Matt would say, and a GT45. Now, most would say that turbo is not really good for making high horsepower, and I'd say we're close to the limit. After what we learned on my Studebaker, we're probably running it a lot more rich than we would need to. So the other interesting part about this car is it is using the factory computer. You'll notice two-step module. That's why the coils are like that. But it's a P59 with the drive-by cable, and it has the dual VE tune. Some of you may have caught when Matt was working on the Don't BS Me build just before he sold it. He talked about a dual volumetric efficiency table tune, and essentially this tune allows you to double the resolution in your fuel table. So he never had a chance to try it, so I dug through the Sloppy Public page and found the guy that released it, and I gave it a shot. So it's been working great. I have no complaints. It's a little, the other major benefit with it is the spark table. So essentially what you can do is on a normal tune, the y-axis on your spark table is in cylinder air mass. And cylinder air mass is calculated using volumetric efficiency, which is the units that you program your fuel table with. So essentially, when you add or remove fuel, you are changing where you are in your spark table. So you're constantly chasing your tail. As you're making fueling adjustments, and many times you run off the end of the spark table, and you have to put a falsely low injector size into your tune, that's how you rescale it and basically fool the spark table into being where you want to be. So with this tune, with the dual VE tune, there is a table in the tune that retards or advances, basically adds to your ignition timing, and the axis that it is on is manifold pressure. So essentially what I have done is I took the entire spark table, basically the top half of the spark table, and made it 28. And then I can take my boost advance table and tell it to subtract basically 1 degree of timing per pound of boost. Now, what I learned at what we learned at Matt's Dyno was, one, I was shooting for an 11.1 AFR all the time. So one, you can run it way leaner than that with ethanol. So yeah, that's the other thing with this tune. It's 3 bar, so 3 bar. It's ethanol compatible, so flex fuel, and it has the dual VE tune. So essentially, as Matt taught us in the video that he did on my Studebaker, with ethanol you can shoot for a 12.5 AFR from 0 to 7 pounds of boost, an 11.7 AFR from 7 to 20 pounds of boost, and 11.3 from 20 on. So I had no idea about this. I was shooting for an 11.1 the entire time this car was running. So there's a lot to be gained there. I think we probably gained close to 50 horsepower. So I guess I should talk about how this thing has performed so far. So the original reason that we built this car was, if you guys know me and my dad and my whole family, we compete at an event called the Grassroots Motorsports Challenge. And it's an event where you have to build the car for $2,000, and it has to autocross, compete in a concourse, and compete in a drag race. And we've won the drag race portion quite a few years in a row. I don't know the exact number, but we have basically 10 drag race wins. So we built a Volkswagen Beetle for that event, and some of you may be aware that Roadkill did a event called the $3,000 Hoopty Challenge at their zip tie drags. And this was like, oh, this is us, this is our event. And I don't know if it was lost in communications, or they didn't say it, or what happened, but for some reason we thought it was the car costs less than $3,000. And as soon as we got to the event, it was like all we heard was worth less than $3,000. Worth. You know, it was their very first time running the event, because the event, we went to the event in Norwalk, Ohio, and the event in Tucson got rained out, and basically nothing was ever heard of it. So we get to this event, and it's like all we hear is worth, and we're like, what? So it was a little disheartening, but the thing with the Norwalk event was there was lots of rain on the horizon. So I think a lot of people thought it was going to get rained out. And I remember the first night we were there, I got completely soaked. And they had the Crusher Impala sitting there. And the hood scoop was just completely open. And there was just water going down the carburetors. And I was like, I mean, I'm already like completely soaked. You know, we went up to the one event organizer, my dad and I, and you know, we're both like completely soaked. Could we go over and stick a garbage bag on the supercharger and you know, maybe roll up the windows? And he's like, yeah, go for it. And so yeah, we did that, and it was just raining and raining and raining. So everybody was like, this isn't gonna happen. And so not many cars showed up. So what was really neat was they had the Fans versus Freiberger and Finnegan event, and our car got drawn for that event, probably due to the lack of number of cars. So despite the very little chance of being in the $3,000 Hoopty Challenge, you know, based on worth, we were like, well, you know, at least we get to go through the Fans versus Freiberger and Finnegan. And before we went to the event, we were like, you know, just joking with each other, like, oh, we're gonna go to the zip tie drags and kick General Mayhem's butt. And it was really cool, because the very first car that my dad got to race was General Mayhem, and we took him down pretty handily. So I'll show a video of that. Yeah, I was super excited about that. That was like dream come true. So anyways, getting back to the car you're looking at right now. So since they wanted a car that was worth $3,000, and they seem to put a false, just like this false, like I don't think a Turbo LS car, any Turbo LS car, is worth less than $3,000. I don't care what it is, unless it's like extremely rusty. But they seem to have this like bias towards Turbo LS cars, which, okay, that's fine. So we built this as an intent to compete in the $3,000 Hoopty Challenge. Now, we also had intended to take it to the Grassroots Motorsports Challenge. that probably isn't going to happen anymore. We have enough money in it that it's between $2,000 and $3,000. So I'll say that. What we would like to do with the car in the future is take it on drag week and try to shoot for the street machine, or what's the class called? Street race. Yeah, I think it's street race small block power adder, which is an 850 index class basically. So we'd like to eventually do that with the car, but so yeah, why haven't we taken it yet? Okay, they've only had the event last year. They only had it in Tucson, and that's 2,000 miles away from us. So we decided, it's probably not worth it, and I think they're gonna start doing it again now, but I don't know, they're so like wishy-washy, and it seems like information is not spread very well, so we're kind of like just like whatever, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, oh well. Personally, I really like this car. This is the first car I ever went a 9-second pass in. First time I've been 130, first time I've been, well no, not the first time I've been 140. That was another car. So yeah, the reason I'm introducing this car, some of you may be like, okay, why? We are planning to take it to Matt Happel's from Sloppy Mechanics, his dyno. This next weekend, and we'd really like to see, how close are we to the infamous 600 wheel for the GT45. That was, he said that's the most he's ever seen from a GT45, and based on the weight of the vehicle and the mile per hour, we're knocking on that door, and it's not even optimized, obviously, as I talked about earlier. So that's the also it allows Matt to get some experience with the dual VE tune, so I think that would be neat. Maybe he could post it on the tune cabinet. That would be really neat for you guys to have access to. I've basically I've gone through all the difficult stuff, but so that's essentially why I'm introducing it. And future plans for the car, it will be getting a gold box, and I'd like to take advantage of the traction control. And we're talking about we may upgrade to a billet 7875. Just to try to get it closer to 850. We were talking about possibly putting nitrous on the car on top of that, because the I know it looks large, the intercooler, which, yeah, notice all the dirt. So the intercooler, it's doing a decent job. It's starting to make some temperature, and that may just because we're in a starting to get into the inefficient regions of the GT45, but we'll figure that all out. So obviously I'd like to document that on this channel. But yeah, I thought I'd introduce the car. I know there's a lot of people that are interested in this kind of stuff. So yeah, truck manifolds and V-band crossover underneath the harmonic damper, and then up on the other side, and then the two sides wide together. There's a truck manifold on this side, and it comes into the divided turbine housing, the wastegates on the turbine, and then comes out, around, down, and the coils are stuffed in underneath there. Doing the spark plugs on this is not particularly fun. Definitely don't do it when it's hot. But another thing we're talking about is going to a Trailblazer SS intake. I mean, the sleeper aspect of this thing is pretty sinister. We obviously don't want to make it look too fast, especially under the hood. I mean, all the dirt and grease and grime, that you know, if somebody ever cleans that off, it's going to be a very sad day. Just like the rest of the car, we're just trying to keep it as dirty as possible. You know, so, but again, my favorite part all fits under the flat hood, all the dents and tears. But anyways, I'll stop rambling. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Alright, have a good one.